Okay, and it says we're being live streamed. I'm going to start yeah, and start sharing my screen, and we'll tell everybody what's going on. Okay, hi everybody, welcome to another Friday night comics workshop. This is the We Believe in Comics workshop. We're the Sequential Artists Workshop. Welcome, thank you. We're a nonprofit. We're a bunch of courses. I'm kind of rambling. Anyway, we're a school. If you don't know who we are, we're a school for comics, and we have a lot of online courses, and we're a nonprofit, and we're happy that you're here. We're really happy Vanessa's here. Here's some things that are happening soon. On next week in this slot, we're going to have Beth Tremblay doing comics about masks. Romance comics, there's still like 3 slots left for that with Mel Gilman. It's Sunday afternoons, November through December. And we've partnered with Georgia Weber, who does these wonderful Saturday morning sessions. So you can check those out at stallcomics.org. What else? Oh yeah, share what you do tonight on social media, hashtag Friday Night Comics. We are at Comics Workshop, and I'll tell you where to find Vanessa in the chat. It's Squintables, but I'll put that in the chat. You can also find us at members.sawcomics.org, which is where people are sharing and doing all sorts of other stuff. And I want to thank everybody who donated to this event or any other Friday night event. It helps us keep these free for you and helps us pay the teachers as well. There's other ways you can support us with those links there, and those will be in the chat as well. So we try and keep this PG-13. Thank you in advance. No trolling or hate speech. Please enjoy. We've got Vanessa Davis here. Oh my God, those are her previous 2 books. And there's a little look at her website, and I'm going to stop sharing. And so I went through all day today knowing, just giddy as I'll get out, because I knew Vanessa, I was going to draw comics with Vanessa Davis later in the day. So I hope you guys were all thinking about that. But if you weren't, now you are. So, so Vanessa, I'm going to leave it to you. I'll be here in the chat. If I'm muted, just yell for me. And if you need support, let me know. But otherwise, I'm just going to let you take it away. You're spotlighted at the moment. And anything you need to say that people need to remember, I'll put in the chat as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Tom and Saw and all of you for having me tonight. I'm very honored. I met Tom when I first was a baby cartoonist, and it was just such a wonderful person to meet when you are, when you want to make comics, because he just kind of makes you excited to do it and makes you believe in your own ability to do it. And we're so lucky to have Saw and Tom and all of you. And yeah, so what am I saying? So I started making comics and I didn't know how. And I said, well, it's not rocket science. How can I start? So I figured I would try to draw something in my sketchbook every day. Because I didn't have any space to do big draw. I studied fine art in college, and I wanted to paint and do all these big things. And then I was in my little tiny apartment with no space and no money for materials or anything. So you can draw in your sketchbook every day. And so that's what I started doing. And I had a job with an office and a computer and a Xerox machine. And so I started drawing these in my sketchbook every day. And then I Xeroxed them on the office copy machine. And I saw that there was going to be a Mocha festival in a couple of months after I decided to start. And so I made my first comic, and it was called Spaniel Rage. And then I got addicted to making comics because it was so cool. You could just you didn't have to know how to do it. You could just draw, and there would be magic that would be turning these discrete pieces into a story. Some people would disagree with that, but maybe they are not as open-minded as they could be. And then I continued to do that. But then, I started wanting to make longer comics and plan them out. And I started making these comics for this online magazine called Tablet. And I did that, and that was really fun because I got to work in color because it was online, and then these got collected into a book called Make Me a Woman. And so because people have pet concerns, my work ended up having a lot of themes without me even having to plan it, just because there's certain things that I'm all about and certain things that I, care about and want to discuss. So I guess I'm bringing all of this up to just talk about the magic of not having complete control over what you're doing. Because some people, it's all who you are. Some people are really good at having control over everything, and that's how they succeed. For me, if I try to have too much control over things, I touch it too much, it falls apart, it doesn't get finished, I get intimidated. But if I just do a little bit and put a little bit of me in it and a little bit of my skills in it, I find that sometimes it blossoms and it turns into something bigger than the sum of its parts. So I'm a big believer in that in comics and art in general. And so one reason why I wanted to write about neighbors is because neighbors, sometimes there are just topics that are better than others. And it's funny because I was told once by someone that neighbors are a bad topic for comics because they're mundane and they're boring. And I think it could be boring if you just are like, oh, my neighbor's so weird, they, do this. It's like, it's fine. But there's a lot of things that your thoughts about your neighbors can say about you without maybe you even realizing it. There's a lot that talking about your neighbors can say about your community, can say about the world in general. They're just a good source material for bigger things. They seem like they would just be about small things, but they can be about big things if you just give it some space or have faith in it. So let's see what time we're at. What time should we should get started. All right. So Tom and I put together a very, very simple exercise to kind of get you started working on a neighbor story. I'm personally going to work on a 4-panel comic about a neighbor. But to get us all there, I thought we would do a little bit of list making. That's kind of how I get started with making comics. So most of us have all had a neighbor at some point, unless you're like living in the middle of nowhere. Which could also be cool, just the lack of a neighbor you could write about. So what I'd like everyone to start with is making a list of 3 to 5 memorable neighbors in your life. Could be from any time in your life now, or although you might not want to do that because in case they search you on YouTube, they could find that you're writing about them right now, or someone from the very distant past. And I was going to show examples.
Sure.
I'm sorry, everybody.
That's all right. We need to think about our neighbors while you do that. You guys
think about your neighbors and I'll show you some examples. Such a pro. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Start broadcast. Okay. I'm going to open my drive. And so, okay. So here's a comic I did. So I wanted to open Procreate. So, okay. So I live in Los Angeles. And when I first moved to Los Angeles, can everyone see this? It's a comic that's called Angry LA.
Yep.
So when I first moved to Los Angeles, I moved here with the idea with my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, and who's also a cartoonist, Trevor Alexopoulos. And we had this idea that we could move to LA, and we became apartment managers because we thought that would be a great job for us. It's like a part-time thing. It would get us free rent in an expensive city. and it wouldn't be a big deal. We're earthy. We're handsy. Not handsy. We don't mind. We don't mind, like, helping people with their toilets or whatever. But it ended up being a really big culture clash. And when I first moved to LA, I just thought it was the epicenter of all human evil. And this comic was sort of about that. I saw this guy walking a pug with his Pugs Not Drugs shirt, and I tried smiling at him and he glared at me. And then people are always taking pictures of each other's driver's license plates to threaten each other. There's even these trees that are like beautiful, but they're covered in spikes. The dogs are all crazy. No one was not. This one woman that when I first moved in kicked my printer. And it just was really surprising. I was not expecting LA to be like that. Here's another neighbor. This is a comic about my neighbor growing up. It's really about the dog. We had this neighbor named Paul and his wife Bee, and they had a German Shepherd named Heidi who used to jump over the fence. And I saw that they had this sign up saying bad dog, and Heidi wasn't a bad dog. And me wanting to be a good girl was so horrified for Heidi being presented to the world as this bad dog when we all knew she was a perfectly good dog. Anyway, I talked to Paul about it, and Paul was explaining that we don't want people to know that she's good because we want her to scare everybody away. And then I tried giving her a stick and I got zapped by their electric fence. And let's see what else. Just some more simple ones. Like I have this neighbor now named Ron, who's Ron and Linda, who are really great. There's these like California, they've lived here in this neighborhood forever. And I just was telling them about how I was going to go on a walk and maybe get a donut. And Linda said, donuts are the worst thing you can eat. They're fried. And Ron said, they sit in your stomach. And I said, I know. And I was going to do it. I mean, it doesn't have to be ground. It doesn't have to change everything. Oh, this was in the pandemic. I was talking with my neighbor whose mother lives in Spain, and he was saying my mom is in a little village, but the nearest town has a couple cases. And he said, it's weird. She's half the world away, but going through the same stuff. And I said, yeah, there's no escape. Because there wasn't. This was, we couldn't even barely go outside back then. So, what, did I show this one? Yeah. Oh, I could just scroll. Oh yeah. And then another time Ron came over, and Ron loves my son, who was a baby at the time. And he said, how come he's always happy? Just the perfect baby, never crying. And I didn't actually say, why the F would you say something like that? But basically, anytime someone says oh, what a good sleeper, or what a good baby, or what a good, and then, that night, of course, the baby was just a nightmare. He was up all night screaming, but you just get cursed by people when you have a baby. Not on purpose, but it just happens. And then now I'm going to open Procreate because I have a couple other comics that are longer that I did. Oh yeah, so this one was about, I don't know if you can see this, but I accidentally erased a huge part of this comic while I was trying to expand it earlier, but you'll just have to, I won't read the whole thing. But this is an example of a comic I did where, so when I started realizing that being an apartment manager was a really bad experience, I was like, well, okay, I should write about it. And I would go to parties and talk to people, and they would find out that I was an apartment manager. And if they wanted to talk to me for 1 second longer, which usually they didn't, once they heard that, they would say, well, tell me the worst thing that happened. And I would tell them, and it's not like I'm not a good storyteller. I would keep it short. I would stick to the salient points, but there was just something about telling the story straight on that were mundane. And I would see people's eyes glaze over and just be sort of depressed because it was depressing. It wasn't really fun. And so, but I did find that when I would want to write about something else and use my experience as an apartment manager to kind of back up my point, it worked pretty well. So this is an example of a theory that I started developing that people, at least in LA, and these days, they want to turn other people into their servants. And there's just sort of like this lack of like dignity, like a lack of self-love that gets expressed outwardly, where they hate themselves. And so they want to hate you by turning you into somebody that they see as below them. And of course, I had a lot of experience with this with my apartment manager's experience. As I said, I had no problem cleaning people's toilets, but I did have a problem when they wanted me to like get out of bed to like find out who dripped water on their car. This guy claimed that his toilet just fell apart, but he was like this raging, I think he kicked the toilet. This guy, anyway, it's, you know, you got to read the comic. I'm not going to like bore you with this, but it was just sort of, and here's where I erased a big part of it, but it was just sort of about these like weird trials that we put people through. Oh, this is about Squirrel, which is a very popular restaurant here in LA that people wait in line for 40 minutes and it's like in this blazing hot sunbeam and there's flies everywhere and everyone's taking pictures of their food and you're just supposed to be like so grateful that you're eating this food, but it's like this horrible Odyssean, like degrading experience eating at this fancy restaurant. And I just sort of am talking about these things that I see in society and using my experiences as an apartment manager to back it up. So I don't know that this was long, so I don't know that I need to do it for all of them. This is one that I did this also about neighbors about Halloween. I don't know if this is helpful, showing these long comics. I think we should get back to the list making. So I'm going to close this and turn on this and say, and I'm going to start making a list of my neighbors that I can remember. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one was 3 to 5 neighbors.
3 to 5 neighbors.
The list itself was interesting.
Okay, I have a lot of neighbors. How are people doing with this? Do they need any more time with this? I can't really tell because I've got my Procreate.
Sure, they're fine because you mentioned that before you started showing.
Yeah. Okay, so now you've got your list of like 3 to 5 neighbors. Probably some of them stand out to you more than others. There might be some stories. For instance, okay, so I have Paul and B in Florida. I kind of, with my dog neighbor one, that was like sort of my most memorable. There's like maybe one, or I can think of some other things with them. Wendy in college was my roommate freshman year, and then she overheard me and another roommate talking about this apartment that we were going to rent, and then she rented it before we could talk to our parents. And so she was really mean, and my father gave me this advice to always just be really friendly to her as like a just to like set her off balance. And so I would say, hi, Wendy. And like whenever I saw her, and it was a weird way to be aggressive, but it was fun. And then I lived with these women in Santa Rosa, but they were my roommates. They weren't really my neighbors. And then Richard, my Tai Chi instructor, or he wasn't my Tai Chi instructor. He was a Tai Chi instructor. We lived in this little, we called it the elf hutch. It was like this little house. And he would always be teaching Tai Chi outside. Because the other part of the house was his Tai Chi studio. And then, yeah. So anyway, so you've got your neighbors. I'm going to erase this right now, just for my sake, because I'm going to use this to write the next list. The next list that we're going to do. So now that you have your neighbors, I want you to write down 1 to 3 memories involving a neighbor and involving either a window or a door. Oops. Do I have any others? Do people need more time with this one? We're gonna do 2 more lists after this, but that are similar. So then the other choices, the next list I want you to do is 1 to 3 memories about trespassing involving neighbors.
So is this with the same neighbor? Could I just ask?
Which one?
The third question about trespassing.
It could be, it could just be whatever sparks your interest, because the idea is that, one of these things is going to give you an idea for our comic that we're going to draw.
I got it. Okay, thanks.
So if it helps to keep the same neighbor, then yes, but if not, then no. Okay, maybe another minute with this one.
Meanwhile, Vanessa, this is when the chat gets really good. For instance, Umi says, my top 3 neighbors ended up being people who pooped in front of me.
You know, I had a tenant when I was an apartment manager who she stopped talking to us and started exclusively communicating through dog poop. She would leave poop for us in front of our door, under the steps. It was always her though. I don't know.
That's definitely a form of trespassing.
Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, there was, oh yeah. Ugh, that one is a good, that's one of the depressing trespassing story. There was one woman in our building who married this man that just kind of showed up in the building hanging out with another neighbor. And then they got married and got pregnant right away. And she had the baby, and the baby was in the NICU for a really long time. But in the meantime, it was revealed that the husband was not who he said he was, and it was all of this like dramatic stuff, but it was just, I don't know, it was tawdry. And she sounded like she was so upset, but then at the same time she was like, I can't wait to write a book about it. And it was like, really, you're like that entertained by such high stakes drama? And I don't know, but I guess, you know, you can be. Okay, so next list. Oops. Whoa. Sorry. What am I doing? All right. So the next list that we're going to do is we're going to do 1 to 3 memories of you and a neighbor performing mutual aid for each other, helping each other out. I know I have a lot of stories like this from the pandemic, just because my very kind neighbor next door and I, we both have small kids, and we would play with them as much as we could, even though we were like freaked out about the pandemic. But I don't know that any of them are that funny. And what you also might find is that some of these are like really great ideas, or they feel like they're ideas that you definitely want to turn into a comic, but they might not be appropriate for, you know, a 20-minute 4-panel kind of situation, you know, which is fine. Obviously, you don't have to finish anything during this night, but you could also pick something that's just shorter, or just use it as a jumping off point for something longer. Like there's a lot I could write about you know, my neighbor and I becoming friends through the pandemic because of our small kids, but nothing that would like fit in a 4-panel comic. Okay, I think it's 7:30. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute and come back to see everybody and see. I think that now might be the right time to get started. Does everyone feel like they have something that they can use as a starting off point? Maybe, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to turn back my screen sharing. I think we should, oh good, hi. Oh, look at all these chats. Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. Snow help. Yeah.
The snow help is a really big help. It was tawdry. Okay, so not the snow help. Okay, so I think we should draw now. Is everyone ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna draw. I'm gonna put back my screen sharing, and I'm not super smooth with drawing on Procreate, but hopefully you guys won't judge me too much.
So are we making a 4-panel comic?
I think you guys should too.
And you're not sharing yet. Are you hoping to share?
Oh, I thought I was sharing.
No.
Okay, let me, sorry. Let me go back. Where was I? Screen, start. Okay. Now am I?
Yep.
Okay.
So from all these ideas, Jackie's asking, just try and tell a 4-panel story about one of the neighbors or one of the window stories or mutual aid story or whatever, right?
Yes. So pick, if any of those things sparked an idea, that was the idea, that was the point. And if it didn't, oh, we were also going to draw. Guys, I messed up.
We're ready for the comic.
We were going to draw, we were going to draw the neighbors, but I don't think it's, it's not like an in-depth character study. Now, unless you wanted to do an in-depth character study, in which case I would suggest you drawing the neighbor from memory before you get started. But yeah, just take one of those ideas and make a 4-panel comic about it. What I'm going to do is I remembered, I don't know, is it better if I just draw it and then you guys see it? Or is it better if I tell you what I'm going to do first?
I think, tell us what you're going to do. What do you remember?
Okay, so I remember so I had this neighbor, Richard, in Santa Rosa, the one who taught Tai Chi. And he was a very funny guy, and just a lot of the situations were very like visually rich, because there were always these he was like a really aggressive Tai Chi instructor. So it's like this gentle practice, but you would hear him like cursing at the students and stuff. And it was just kind of funny. He was like this cranky East Coast guy, which I appreciated as a cranky East Coast person myself, living in Northern California. But one time I was just sitting there working and I sneezed and I heard him say, "Bless you." And then he said, "I'm always listening." So that's like a very simple, it's like, it's not like amazing. It's not going to like blow your mind or anything, but I've always remembered it, and it would be perfect for a 4-panel comic because there's room for like reactions and beats, but it's a very simple exchange. So that's my plan. We'll see how it turns out.
Nicole says it's going to blow her mind. And please tell us in the chat what neighbor story you're drawing to, people. I'm gonna tell because I probably won't share. But
you won't?
Oh, there won't be time.
Okay.
I'll share on Instagram. I'm writing it in the chat because he's a funny guy. This guy.
It's very hot in this closet. Okay. I wonder if anyone else is sitting in a closet right now. I am. Does anyone else make the expression that they're drawing when they're on their own face? I do that.
Totally. Yep. Sally says yes. Nicole says yeah. Vanessa, didn't you live in Santa Cruz?
No, in Santa Rosa.
Oh, never mind, because somebody's writing about a hot tub place in Santa Cruz, so never mind.
Whoa, that sounds good.
Santa Rosa has some good hot springs near it too, though.
Yeah, you know, I never found them. It's like sad. I always wanted to go to those ones up north too, like the one that Jack London liked, and that there's like a nude one.
Like or hot springs? No.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh no,
I never-
Harbin maybe. Maybe
Never.
Harbin.
I didn't get to go. Did you guys know this thing on, I don't know if you can see it, when you do like a wobbly line on Procreate and then you just let it stay and then it turns straight? Kind of weird. I don't know how necessary it is for me, for my purposes.
Great if you like straight lines.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. I just thought I'd show that. because it's like the one thing I know on Procreate. Okay, so
Seems like it's always happening to me when I don't want it to happen.
yeah, a lot.
You're
There's
in
like
the
a lot,
middle. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of glitches. Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about Procreate, but no, right now it's largely functioning as a very expensive remote control for TV for my son. Okay, so I'm like,
You mean the iPad is, or how
yeah,
do you
because
Procreate?
yeah,
Okay.
because we like we Chromecast shows from like PBS Kids from it onto the television. And also if I draw on it, he wants to draw on it.
How old is your son?
He's 3.
Mhm.
He's really cute. But I have a very hard time multitasking. So I've been in major mom mode this whole time. And I'm very humbled and grateful to be here drawing comics with you guys, because I'm a bit rusty. I was fretting about it, talking to Tom earlier this week.
A lot of people were asking about your color palette when you were showing your comics.
Oh,
They were like, beautiful colors. How do you choose your colors? They're such great colors.
you know, color is, I'm really into color because I had a lot of pressure to use a lot of color growing up. But I grew up in Florida, and so lots of color around me. My father was a photographer, and he like insisted on wearing lots of color for better photographs. And just color is like a big deal for me. And I was a painting major before I knew I was going to be a cartoonist, et cetera, et cetera. And I just, and when I started making comics, it was like the last few years of it being like really expensive to print in color. So you didn't even really get a chance. So then when you did get a chance to print in color, you just kind of I just wanted to go crazy. So I'm drawing and talking at the same time. Anyway, I do find that there's like the best way that it took me a long time to kind of realize that I was coloring, not painting, that those are different things. And I've had some awkward coloring experiences in the middle of figuring those things out. And now what I like to do is there are certain things that are that I know are going to be a particular color. Like I know that the people are going to be like various tones of flesh colors and like hair colors. And then like a lot of things are like gray and brown with and green because of plants, streets, sidewalks, and like wooden furniture. So then I kind of use those as my anchor colors. And then I just try to like pick the colors that I know I want to highlight. So like I might be wearing a blue sweater in this comic, and I don't know, I sort of have to figure it out as I go, but it's like it's sort of like design choices. Like sometimes you like having too many fonts, you realize you have too many colors, which I've been accused of many times, even though I really try to pare it down. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that maybe we'll have enough time for me to color this, but I know some people that like plan out their palette ahead of time, and it's like this very sophisticated exercise. It seems kind of simple, but it seems like very functional like of them to do that. And I don't do that, but sometimes things just look like a mess. The way, if it isn't already clear from what I've said so far, one reason that got me into comics was that it was a medium that like eliminated a lot of the roadblocks to making art. Like when I studied painting, you know, we were taught the right way to stretch a canvas and the right way there was just so much, you know, craftsmanship with the gessoing and the sanding and the priming and all of this stuff that I just was like, okay, like I'm never even going to get to the painting if I'm spending all of this time making like a gorgeous canvas objet. And so what I liked about comics was that they were more immediate and they just let me like start. And so I would not say that I am not a fan of craftsmanship. I just don't prioritize it, I guess. But that's me, because I just find that it's very hard for me to get work done if I'm not under like the exact correct conditions. And so I just try to make the conditions as conducive as possible. And so for me, that means like letting go of like any semblance of perfectionism, letting go of any like preconceived ideas of like, I mean, also that sort of like fits my value system too. I think things are more interesting when you're not like super glossy or like super intimidating. I like accessibility. I want to know that's like what I love about comics is I want to know people for real. And I think that comics is one medium that people can't help but be themselves and reveal their strengths and weaknesses, like for better and for worse. And it's just like, that's fascinating to me. It's like way more interesting to me than some sort of like, you know, impeccable draftsmanship or something. But I also know that impeccable draftsmanship is like very exciting for many people. So, you know, it's just like different concerns. Already I'm seeing that I sort of put a couple too many visual elements in this first panel because they're like not necessary. I was trying to create some domestic interiority. But we really just need the windows.
Vanessa, I like how you start out with the bun and the hair.
Well, it's a good anchor. When I you know, I am new to drawing on this iPad and it's like very slippery and this like pencil is very wide and I don't have like as much facility as I do with a regular pencil. And so I'm being a little I don't know what the word is, but rough, but I don't know, everyone has like a different starting off point, don't they? So the reaction expression is something I've tried to think a lot about. Like, I don't remember where it was. Trevor, my husband, is talking about, he read it somewhere. I think it was maybe Dan Clowes talking about it, where he was talking about, you know, how a reaction shot to a joke can like ruin the joke. Like if you show someone laughing, I mean, of course there's like plop takes, which are a classic reaction, but that's different and that can be used in different ways. But like having the right expression can like make or break, or can really like set the tone of a comic, of like a joke. So I usually try to think about that when I'm drawing them.
We're talking about plop takes in the chat.
I wish I could see the chat. I'll look later.
Dave Lasky tells us that Kelly Fro calls it a kick out,
Oh, that's cool.
and that Summer Pierre does it a lot. Eliza says.
A kick out. That's cool. I only call it a plop take because I thought that was what, I mean, I don't know. I heard another cartoonist call it that. So I just thought that was what it was. Hi, David.
That's so creepy now.
We loved him. When we told him we were moving, he like did some yard work and he ended up like going crazy with the chainsaw, and he like cut down all these plants and cut down the internet cord, and we just were like, he's really grieving our departure, just losing it. Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm not going to color this because I think in like a few minutes we should all be done. So we have time to share.
Yeah, let's share now.
Okay, let's share now. All right, so I'm sharing mine. This is mine. Everyone take a look. And then I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. I mean, to not sharing my screen. Where's, oh, here, there.
Okay, great. So yeah, already people are raising their hands. So that's how, yeah, that's how lots of people are already doing it. So if you'd like to share, raise your Zoom hand, which on a computer is usually found under reactions. On an iPad, we have no idea where to find it. Vanessa maybe can remind us where you found it.
Oh,
You went
I
hunting
see.
for it, I remember.
I see. Oh yeah. Does anyone need to? Oh,
I
it disappeared. It disappered when I. Oops. What did I do?
So, but Vanessa, I'll go in order, and I'll just spotlight people, and we can take a look. And so
Okay.
we have Mishka, Christina, Allison, and Chris at least lined up, and then there'll be plenty more. So first to Mishka, who is early tonight. Hi, Mishka.
I am early. Okay, so here's the whole thing.
Wow.
I don't know if you can see it. I copied and pasted a lot. So the story is that when my wife told me she was trans, it was a secret, and they're up in that corner. And so I decided that the ugly column in front of our house needed a rainbow. And so I painted it rainbow colors. And that night, my neighbor came over and said, bam, bam, bam. And I thought, it's so late. Who is it? And then my first thought is, wow, she's short, which is a little mean, but okay. And then she said, you're an artist? She kind of said it in this weird accusatory way. And I said, yeah. And then she said, the vintage light pole that you painted today, which I didn't paint, I just put oil, like pastels on it. She said, yeah, you, and I started to say, you like it? She said, you need to paint it back to its vintage paint color. And I was like, oh, that ugly piece color, which that's the background color here. That's the color of the column. It's colored this color. It's really ugly. The whole neighborhood is flesh colored. It's weird. And then that's me washing all the stuff off. And she's in the window looking. I don't know if you can see her. And I thought, I hate her and I hate it here.
Aw.
And I will never say hi to this bitchy neighbor. I don't care if she sees it on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's a disappointment. That is not how I was hoping it would go.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm
Awesome. Thanks. What a story. Oh my God. You always have these amazing stories. Thank you. Christina, we'll go to Christina next, and then Allison, then Chris. Here we go.
It's so funny. I made all my lists, and then when I went to start my cartoon, something totally came out of the blue.
That's
And my first line is like the best line of the whole thing, but it's true. My first line is Mary and Joseph lived next door. So Mary and Joseph were an older Hispanic couple that lived next door to us. And they were adorable. And it wasn't Maria, she called herself Mary, but Mary and Joseph lived next door, and their entire front yard was rocks. And it was meticulously weeded, and she had all of those giant, like, false fake blue hydrangeas that she would water them with all the right chemicals to keep them that false fake blue. So it says Mary and Joseph live next door. Their front yard was all rocks with a few hydrangeas, neon blue. I had young kids and lots of grass and no free time. So there's me on my front step with my kids and lots of grass. And when you have lots of grass and no free time, what do you have?
weeds.
You have dandelions. I came home one time to Mary on her hands and knees, okay, elderly Hispanic couple, on her hands and knees in my front yard, pulling out all the dandelions because she didn't want them to blow over into her yard and create weeds in her rocks. But she was doing it to help out. And I don't know if I was insulted at the, her saying that I wasn't keeping my yard up well enough for her, or the fact that I had led an elderly neighbor to her hands and knees in my front yard. But they were real dears, and they loved my little kids. But I just love the fact that we had Mary and Joseph living next door to us.
Looking over you in your yard.
Yes.
Awesome, Christina, thanks. We'll go to Allison next. Here we go.
Hi. So I cannot post this on social media because this is my current next door neighbor. And I make a big pot of something every week on a Tuesday, and I take her over a bowl of it. And then she brings us back the bowl with a little treat in it. But whenever the Giants hit a home run, I always know because I can hear through the bookcase that she goes, woohoo. But she just always seems really cranky. And I don't know if it's just age or, oh, sorry, I've got a visitor here. Missy, Esme, bugger off. And yeah, so yeah, I can't post this one. Anyway, thanks.
I
Awesome.
want to say, just think how cranky she'd be if you didn't give her soup.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Al. Go to Chris
Thanks.
next, and then Nina, and then Kathy. Here we go.
This is from when I was a kid in Los Angeles, and I lived next to this. I lived next to this house that had an old couple. The guy was retired, and he always used to make stuff in his garage. And in his garage was a big saw. And he made, one of the things he made was these wooden ducks that out of a clothespin, he would put like a head and a little body on a clothespin. And then we used it to hold our mail for decades. And this was Chuck and Beulah, the guy that made the stuff. And he was very friendly, but he was missing a finger. That always taught me to be really safe around table saws.
That's awesome. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Amazing. Thanks. Okay, we're gonna go to Nina.
I seem to have a history of bad neighbors in my life. And I think I picked the worst ones from when I used to live in Seattle. And so my bad neighbors here, which is in Seattle, we had neighbors across the street who came from Boston. I was convinced they were in the witness protection program. And here he's saying, I'm a crabber. Like I really believed that. They were always constantly drinking. I mean, no matter what time of the day it was. And outside they were drinking. So this is truly outdoors. They constantly screamed at each other. One night she cracked a wine bottle over his head. This was outside. And an ambulance took him away, and she kept screaming F you at him. And then they never smoked in their house. They always smoked outside, even in the rain. This started to make me suspicious. And then, but their yard was full of old batteries, propane tanks. They burned their garbage, and it was a rental house. When they finally moved out, I went to talk to the landlord, and the smell knocked me over. Ammonia. They were cooking meth. Good.
Oh,
So I kept trying to tell the police, and the police never listened to me. So anyway, that was my lovely neighbor across the road.
I'm glad nobody blew up.
I know. I kept thinking the house was going to blow. I was waiting for it to blow. And it was all the people smoking on their tiny little side porch is what I knew, that there was something really wrong there. And they were little kids next door.
Awesome, Nina. Thanks. Okay, we're going to Kathy, then Jackie, then Cheryl. Here we go.
All right. So this was kind of powerful. Thank you. This was something that happened when my neighbor trespassed. No, but just came through the door, knock, knock. Yoo-hoo, are you here? I'm checking in. And this is me, I'm crying. I'm in the living room. She's like, oh my God, what happened? I went to my stand-up comedy class and I told all my jokes and nobody laughed. I totally bombed, not one laugh. And I'm there with my little Life is Good hat on. And it says, I feel like God has taken everything from me. I was sobbing through this. My ovaries, my health, my hair, my job. And now I'm not even funny. I used to be funny. She's just looking at me. And then she just loses it.
That's fantastic.
Great.
I love that, Kathy.
So
Sketching
good.
it out. Thank you for the chance to sketch that out. I don't think I've ever done that. So I know I haven't. So thanks.
That's great.
Wow, Kathy, thanks. Okay, Jackie next. Here we go.
I didn't get to ink it all in, but I have
Your sound. Jackie, we're losing your sound. I'm not sure why. Can you hear-
sorry, here. Can
Oh,
you
there
hear
we
me
go.
now?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna try to show this to you panel at a time. And he's real character. Hey, Jackie, how you feeling? Huh? Oh, hey, Kenny. And, obviously, I'm struggling with my groceries here. He always wants to talk at the most inappropriate times. Hey, Jackie. And like I'm weeding or doing something real labor intensive. Hi, Kenny. How you feeling? I'm blessed today, man. And one day he called me over to look at something. He's like, "What is that?" And I said, "I think it's a hornet's nest." And he's like, "Do you think I should hit it with a stick?" No, I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. But you know what? He and his wife and I are always swapping favors, like Kenny coming over with his leaf blower, me picking up their kid from school when he was sick. And this is me texting with Kenny's wife about like, did you know your garage door is open? And I'm like, oh, geez, I better go check on that. Thanks. So
It's funny.
yeah, it is. They're very nice people, but he's kind of he can be a bit of a pill sometimes. And I don't want to put this on social media because I don't want that feeling, even though it's meant in the kindest, most neighborly way possible. Thank you.
I love how many people are saying they won't put it on social media.
It will be on YouTube. So, I mean, it would take a lot of searching to find it, but right? I think, Tom,
Yeah.
don't you?
I don't think, yeah. I think so. All right, we're gonna go to Cheryl next and then Andy. Thanks, Jackie.
I'm gonna do the Mishka trick.
Oh, cool.
So I work for Costco, and I'm reading this all backwards. And I offered to go shopping for some of my neighbors during the pandemic. Some of them wanted boring things like toilet paper, but one neighbor revolutionized my life with the food that they chose. They asked for chicken tenders. I would never think to buy chicken tenders. I bought some, and it's like white meat that doesn't dry out in the pan like the giant chicken breasts from Costco normally do. They got bacon bits because they would put them on their homemade pizza. And I was like, this is so much better than cooking bacon and then having no bacon left over for anything else. And they also got Colby Jack cheese, which they used for quesadillas, and also pizza. And it blew my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow, that's awesome. Thanks,
Yeah,
Cheryl.
in the pandemic, I asked my neighbor like how to do everything because I've watered her plants or fed her fish before, and we have the same exact apartment, but hers is like impeccably clean. And I was like, what do you do? Because our apartment is not. And anyway, so I would just constantly ask her. It's not a cool story the way I told it, but the way you did it was really great.
All right, thanks, Cheryl. We'll go to ND next and then let's see.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, yeah. Hey,
Okay.
Andy.
So kind of like you, Vanessa, that I'm working. Can you see this? It's too bright.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
better. I'm working with a new paint program, Clip Studio. You're using Procreate. I'm using it's actually my paint for Linux, but it's for other things too. It's kind of like, I think it's closer to Procreate than Clip Studio, but my daughter's using Clip Studio, but it doesn't work on Linux. So it's like, I get to use this. So this is fun. But anyway, it's this little sketch, a neighbor going to climb up and do something to that hornet's nest. And sees the hornet and then falls off the ladder, and we see him running away. So this is just a small sketch. Not much to it.
Did he get stung?
Sorry?
Do you know if he got stung?
Yeah, I mean, he fell off his ladder and hit the dirt and then ran away.
It's implicit.
Yeah, there's a lot implicit. I should be more explicit with my works. I know that.
No, I don't. You don't have to. I mean, that's the. There are things that I've made comics where while I've been drawing them, I'm like, this is so cool how like I'm putting so much depth and all these layers in this, and you can't even like I'm not spelling it out, and then I read it like a few years later, and I'm like, I don't even understand what I'm doing. But there's like you do a balance of like making things so that someone gets what you mean, and then maybe also not having to spell it out, because there's a lot of artistry in that. So I don't know.
Awesome.
Good advice.
Thanks, ND. We're gonna go to Dara and then Mario. And ND was reminding us also that Mice convention is happening in Boston this weekend. So go say hello to the saw table. Okay, there you go, Dara.
Good. Hey, everybody. Let's see. So this isn't really like a happy moment, I guess. I live on this property with like a tiny house and then a bunch of little cottages. So we're all kind of in our little world, and it's become like this cluster of introverted people. So this one neighbor in particular was like, wants her privacy very severely. So I just sort of like walk by her house, never looking over. So this is me day after day. I walk by, never hearing her. I got up then like weeks later from the toilet, and out the window, there's all these police cars and sirens. And I'm like, what is happening? Apparently she was on the floor for 2 weeks in her house.
Oh no.
So I wrote, I'm ashamed. It's just this horrific moment to think like I've been hiking past her door every day for 2 weeks, and I never heard her or thought to like bother her. I always thought I was bothering her. So I just saw her like an hour ago for the first time, which is why I was like, I'm writing about this. It's not uplifting, but I'm writing about this, and maybe there's hope in it. So I went and saw her, and I ended up taking a picture of her because she needs some more gauze sponges, and she survived somehow, like some freaking miracle. I have no idea how she survived.
Wow.
So I have this picture of her on my phone where she's holding up this package of gauze and going, I need these. And all I can see is like her bloody toes down below, like just swollen bloody toes. So I see her after the hospital, she smiles, and I see pain, survival, tears. I buy her shoes for her bloody toes. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story. My God.
And it's like you were trying to respect what she wanted, but maybe what people want isn't always what's best for them.
Yeah, she just talked about how big of a wake-up call it's been for her. Just like, oh my gosh. So she's like, I need people. So thanks everybody for saying don't blame myself, but it's so hard.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me share it and draw it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're gonna go to Mario next. He's looking really intense.
Thank you. I've put it in my background. I'm going to disappear real quick, so you won't see this floating golden head anymore. You'll just see the artwork. Hopefully you'll see the artwork. So this is a conundrum with some of our neighbors. Again, I don't think this is going to go on social media either, but our neighbor has a cat and loves the cat to death, but will not keep it a maintained house cat, will not lock it in. So we start off with our neighbor Grace out. Fergus is always, escaping from the house. She's just there yelling Fergus. We hear this maybe once every 1 to 2 weeks. We're just used to it now. Next bit is her and my wife talking. She says, he's out again. I don't believe it. My wife, you mean out the door you never, you leave open all the time? We go down to frame 3, and we've got her husband, Eric. her boyfriend, or excuse me, her boyfriend Eric, ends up scouring the neighborhood looking for him, usually with no luck. ... Grace, I can't find him. He's pulled a Houdini. And then ... Final frame, only to find he's standing in their backyard. God damn it! Wait, he's back. Stupid cat. You're lucky you're cute. Anyway, I went for a joke. I feel almost humbled by all these people who have these wonderful slice of life stories. I feel like I went for a gag, and now I feel horrible.
It's still, there's still things revealed. You don't, that like are in there. It's, it's all in the background and in the dialogue, and there's more to it. There's always more to it than what you think.
Cool. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you. Oh.
Shit. All right, we're gonna go to Marlene next in Sydney.
Yeah, I previously lived in a neighborhood with about 16 other occupants and their families. And one night, it was really very hot. And I got up and looked through the window. And I said to myself, shh, you can see a few droplets coming down my brow and my eyes are shut. But when I opened my eyes, I saw the neighbor who's normally up at any time of the night and day, shutting his door. No, the door didn't shut, it shut by itself. And him saying, probably to himself, I guess, the door shut. What am I going to do? So I thought, well, I'm not intervening. This is unfolding before my eyes. I'd like to see what's next. And so I continued to follow this little story. And I then saw him slinking along the fence. He's quite slim and athletic, jumping over the fence to the other neighbor at the back. And then when he turned around, the owner was standing right behind him and saying to him, do you have $10? And he's going, ouch, I didn't expect that, with a bowl and a few eggs inside of it. So probably I worked out that he must have pinched the eggs that he could find.
Oh.
But then he had a bit of remorse later on, thank goodness. And I saw him going to the neighbor with his wheelie bin. That's where you put all your clippings after cleaning your garden, which the neighbor did, who owned the eggs in the first instance. So he took the wheelie bin to the front where the council would collect the clippings and take it away. So this story turned out to be quite interesting to me, how he wasn't as bad as I thought initially. He made up by helping the neighbor out. So you never know who lives next to you. So thank you, Vanessa and Tom, for allowing me to share.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Marlene. Okay, when Emma comes on, we'll go to Emma and then Sally and then Lawrence. Here we go.
Hello. Thank
Hi.
you for a great workshop. This is really fun.
Okay.
So yeah, I really like the list thing that we did at the beginning. It got my brain going, so I definitely will use that more often. But I'm gonna move over. I lived on the road for 4 months this summer, and I was camping a lot, and I had to be a neighbor to a lot of animals. So in the first panel, I have myself putting my food into a bear box, and my captions are, while living on the road this summer, I had to get used to living alongside animals while camping, big and small. What I didn't realize, and I'm hearing some shuffling coming from my front cab, and I go to investigate, was how used they were getting to me. And I see a squirrel in my front seats, and I don't know how it got in there. And I just had to live with it for a couple days because it wouldn't like get out of my van. It was so hard to to flush out, but it was kind of a funny experience.
Yeah, it's your little friend. That's beautiful that you drew that in like 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever we had.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
I did cheat a little bit and draw while other people were presenting. So
It looks great.
thank you.
Wow, a couple days. Didn't leave. Awesome. Thanks, Emma. Okay, we're gonna go to Sally next. Hi, Sally.
I thought I unmuted myself. Sorry. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully you can see this. So my neighbor Laura took off for the weekend and left her garage door open. Uh-oh. I know she didn't mean to do that. Our other neighbor, Ron. She would want us to close it, right? Right. I'm going in, cover me. We're doing the right thing, honestly. It's like we're helping, but we felt like complete trespassers and criminals. You know?
Well, it's hard to know with neighbors because on the one hand you want to be neighborly, but on the other hand you don't want to be a busybody. So it's, you know.
Yeah, and he's like going into her garage and feeling, yeah, anyway.
Great use of color on that one, Sally. I love that like big red,
Thank
warning.
you.
Did you find out how they felt about you helping them out?
Oh, I'm not sure. Sorry. I'm not sure I'm not sure we ever told her about it. I may finish this and do it nicer and send it to, take it over and put it in her mailbox. Guess what happened 5 years ago when you were gone? We were so freaked out.
All right. Thanks, Sally. And bye, bye, little bird.
Dodger.
Okay, we'll go to Lawrence next. Here we go.
Hi, actually, there are 3 of us. I was going to say a couple, but that would just be 2 if that's all right. So sure. I think everyone wants to go first.
Hi.
So we used to live in this a house, and under there was another a little area under, and this is my neighbor Jenny, and she was pretty nice. And we had nothing against her, but me and my sister, we would jump on the floor, and she worked a long time, but we would jump on the floor, and I have Irish dance shoes, which are like big tap shoes, and we would jump on the floor. Yeah, and she was really nice, but we would just do it for fun. And her bedroom was right under the kitchen, so we would just jump there.
Oh wow! Did she ever talk to you about it?
No, but I mean, at that time we didn't feel bad. Now I kind of feel bad for doing that, but yeah.
Sometimes you just are feeling feisty, and that's part of being a neighbor.
Yeah. When I'm done with my workshopping, I'll give you some dinner.
Well, we got some more in there.
I'll maybe work on convincing my little one. This is our first time doing this. This has all been really fantastic, and I'm trying to learn to draw, and I can learn from the kids. But this is actually a composite story from my childhood. Some context is like I was kind of a clumsy kid, and we'd moved to a kind of nicer, let's say, less diverse neighborhood. So I kind of fell back on the Ivan Brunetti kind of shapes. But this woman lived across the street from us, and I just like ran into the curb and fell. My bicycle wasn't in pieces, but I didn't know how else to draw. Like I just fell over. And then she kind of, I don't know that she actually said off the lawn, but she kind of looked at me and went like, as if I was just kind of pedaling away on her lawn. But I'm haunted by her kind of eyes, the way that she stared at me.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to end this. She just died suddenly not long after this. I was going to end it there, but the other neighbor, like this girl my age, moved in. And this didn't happen quite this way. But for reasons she was in the Girl Scouts, and sometime that year, she just clobbered me in the head with her Girl Scout bag, which is full of lunch and maybe bricks. It was heavy. So I made it a joke. She never said off the lawn, but I just put the stories together because they did live in the same house.
Well, yeah, maybe it's like this weird evil house making everyone mean.
It could be. It's a haunted.
The face is amazing. It's like definitely looks like something that's been burned onto your memory and like you've been carrying it with you all of these years. It's a very haunting expression.
4 decades later.
Yeah.
We got one more in there, Lawrence.
Do you want to do it or? Okay, it's my little one. Thanks for indulging.
Hi.
So we had this neighbor. It was actually in my sister's class. And when we lived in this small apartment, he was right next door to us, and his name was Ventaro. And so so he was kind of obsessed with Lego sets, and he had this huge like 600 piece Lego set of the Death Star. And so I poked it and it all collapsed.
Oh
and,
no.
But he was in the bathroom, so he didn't know. And so I just like pushed all the Legos back together and ran away.
No.
When I tried to collect the toilet in the bathroom.
Wow. You guys, those drawings are fantastic. So cool.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you. This is great.
Thank you.
Gonna go to Mary next, then Leanne, then Umi. Here we go. Here's Mary.
Well, I have so many stories, but I didn't really tell a story. I just kind of tripped off on my next door neighbor in Portland's door and him in front of the door. And he had this beautiful garden. He was actually my landlord before he was my neighbor. And, you know, it was just a beautiful environment. It was, you know, flagstone patio and flagstone driveway and peonies and wisteria hanging by the door. And he was this tall, thin, very elegant gentleman sort of guy. And his house was like a little English cottage. It was just lovely. And
you can tell drawings.
Huh?
You can really tell from your drawings.
Yeah, I just was tripping off of how beautiful the space was. And I have a list of stories though, and people, and so I may come back to that. And then I guess the story is that he pretty much took care of me after surgery. You know, there wasn't much to do, you know, I just needed someone to get groceries and do my laundry. And while I sat on his patio with the neighborhood cat, Captain Marvel.
Sounds amazing.
So, yeah.
I would love to spend a week doing that. Make someone else do my laundry.
Yeah, I had 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks of like August into September and just hanging out on this beautiful patio and,
it's really
you
nice.
know, not being in a hurry to get back to work.
Awesome, Mary.
So-
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to go to Leanne next, then Umi.
Hi there. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Mine is called No Fall Ready. And I look out my window. I live in townhomes and they're always doing something that I didn't plan on. And it's just another quiet day at Hokwala Townhomes. And there's this big steamroller doing new asphalt for the whole entire parking lot of my part of the complex. So for a whole week, I'm hearing all this crazy grinding sounds, and I'm working from home. And of course, we can't use our parking lot. We have to park on the street, and there's just a, just kind of a hassle. So It's like, good morning to you too. Beep, beep, honk. And then the next one, 1 week later, they're still not done. They got to do the other side. And even though it's not my parking lot, it's still part of my townhome complex. And it's the same thing. I see dust flying. I'm looking out my clean house at the asphalt being grinded, and there I am again. And then it says, another week later, I back out of my parking lot and I nearly hit this elementary school kid on one of those electric scooters because they're loving the new asphalt. And they're like, woo! And I'm like, holy smokes, I almost hit you. I didn't see it coming, and they're loving it. They're just, they're not supposed to play out there, but nonetheless, the parents aren't around and they're like, love it, I love it. And then the week after that, it's break here. We had fall break here in Hawaii. I'm on a walk and I come back and this family is out there, and the new asphalt parking lot that they just paved, which is part of our, we pay $700 a month for a maintenance fee here. They're using it like it's their canvas, and my townhome parking lot looks like a graffiti zone.
Oh.
So it says Roku was here, and this kid is, and the mom is out there. Good job, honey. And then they got chalk art everywhere, and the entire parking lot is covered in street art. Not that I frown upon the artistic endeavors, but it's my parking lot, and it's just like, okay, and so I have a big question mark, and it's to be continued. That's it. Thank you. That was good therapy for me today.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Awesome, Leanne. Thanks. Okay, so we'll go to Umi, Hannah, and then Kate. And
Hi. So I did the pooping story. This is called personal or
Nice.
personal. And I thought about like a lot of neighbors and neighborhood, and I don't think it only about like me being my only person and the other person. It has a lot to do with the dynamics of me living with housemates. And so this is just a matter of fact story. So I once had a neighbor whom I ended up not interacting at all. And I only saw him trespassing into our yard after quarrels with his mother. He was jumping over the fence. He was really athletic. One day I noticed bottles and plastic bags full of poops. It kept going on for a month because I don't know. I don't know. I didn't take it personally. It has something to do with his mother. And I have really good notes. So I was like more curious about the poop than that he's done something to me. It's a weird thing. Well, anyways, I didn't spend time with poop so much, but until people probably he got constipation. So that's my last panel. So that's the whole thing.
I think that's great because it's like there's a mystery of what he's doing, and then also just the way the joke that you made at the end is like, we all have such a weird idea of what's going on, and obviously like yours is like a funny idea, but it's like, we're all so close together, but then having these like such strange motivations, and all like next to each other. It's like, are we close or are we like far aliens, or it's really something. I think that
had
really
to like put those things in a bag and needed to throw into our place, or he kindly walked to our yard and left those. That's a work. I wouldn't do that.
No.
So I was just like straight put them into the trash bin, and that was it. But like, why would he do that? And like, he was always escaping. So there are some issues, but that's not me.
No.
So anyways, thanks.
awesome. So we'll go to Hannah, and then Kate, and then we'll be done. Unless Jamie is lurking around. Here we go, Hannah. Thanks, Umi.
Well, many years ago, my husband and I had this neighbor, Tracy, who always overshared. She had surgery for endometriosis. And my husband is outside one day and he's like reluctantly, "Hi, Tracy." "Oh, hi, Rob. Could you help me figure out my VCR? I want to view the recording of my surgery." And he's like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I don't want to see the inside of her womb. Please, please save me." He's talking to me. "Please save me. She's going to keep me over there for hours. Look and show me her guts." And which is exactly what she was doing to neighbors, like taking these videos of her surgery and then showing them to people. And here's the guts down here. And then here's me kind of gleefully saying, "Bye, hon," as he walks around Tracy's house. "Good luck. I'll text you in a half hour. I'll tell her there's an emergency and you have to come right home."
Oh my gosh.
Awesome, Hannah.
So did it worked?
Yep, it worked.
Awesome. Thanks, Hannah. Let's see. Kate, you wanted to share your screen. You should be able to do it. Go ahead and check. And meanwhile, I'm going to look. Is Jamie Scandal here? We usually close out with Jamie. Jamie, if you're here, raise your hand. Otherwise,
I'm here. I don't know how to do it. I'm on iPad tonight. So I'll just start video when you call my name, okay?
Right, all right.
All right, cool, man.
Here's mine.
Oh, cool.
The Coffees lived across the street behind us, and they had a very loud beagle named Patches. Bark, 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 bark. They also grew tomatoes in their backyard. When I saw them removing tomato worms from the plants one day, I asked if I could take one home as a pet, and I was probably like 6 or something. I kept Tommy in a jar in my room and watched him eat the leaves from the tomato plant that Mr. Coffee sent me home with. I was crazy about Tommy. I kept going back to Mr. Coffee's garden for more leaves to feed Tommy, and one day Mr. Coffee informed me that he could no longer support Tommy's care and feeding since he was an enemy of the garden.
Aw.
Oh, that was so beautiful.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Kate.
It's a hard lesson.
All right, and then we'll close out as we often do with Jamie. If I can find Jamie, you got to raise your hand, Jamie.
Hold on, wait. I don't know how to raise it. Hold on.
Oh yeah, Jamie's
There
on.
There I am with my bad hair. I cut my hair myself. I tried the wolf cut. It grows out like garbage. Anyway, okay, so I tried to make I'm trying to make a zine. That's stupid because you don't know what you're doing. Anyway, so here this is, and it's about my neighbors. They're still my neighbors, and I don't care because I really still don't like them. They made my life miserable for so many years. They've quieted down because the large boy who lived up there and was doing all the stuff that was making me insane has grown up and quieted down. But when he was like 12, he was doing all this shit. So I tried to draw what I thought it sounded like, and then I was gonna go. So I was like, is it Frankenstein Unchained? Like, shut up, because it sounded like that, or like maybe it was Jacob Morley from like the Christmas Carol, just like all hours of the night. And my bed was right underneath the ceiling, and so you just couldn't sleep, you couldn't do anything. So then what it really was, which I learned later, is it was him dragging his bike. He was keeping it out on the fire escape. So he was dragging in the bike and the chain in and out like 4 or 5 times a day because he didn't want to leave it on the streets. I'm trying to meditate, and he's just like, he don't care. Then I'm like, oh my God, what is he doing? It sounds like he's a zombie Chris Farley teaching 30 drunken, it was supposed to be midgets, but that's politically incorrect. So I changed it to hobbits, drunk hobbits, how to dance in clogs. I don't know how to draw hobbits. So that's what they look like to me. Then I realized what it is, the truth, the devastating truth. I learned it by looking outside one day. I look up there and across the street and I see, oh my God, it wasn't 30 drunk hobbits. He was having a trampoline. Hold on. Where? a full grown, like giant 14-year-old, 160-pound guy doing the trampoline in the middle of the night, in the middle of the floor. And that's me down there on the loft bed with my, they gave me $1,000 cane when I went to the ER once because I had plantar fasciitis and I was limping all around. And they go, oh, we don't see anything wrong with you. Here's a cane. And then they charged me $1,000 for it. So I would use the $1,000 cane to like slam onto the ceiling, bam, 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 to get him back. And then that was the moment of the epiphany when I realized, oh my God, he's dragging the bike in to the, and that's it. And then it's that he was actually using a trampoline, and it sounded like a Hobbit dance class. So thank you for having me. I missed last week, but I'm so glad that I got to be here tonight.
Thanks for
everybody's work is great.
Thanks, Jamie. It's really important to have you close out the night for us. Thanks. All right.
Thank you.
I got Vanessa spotlighted again. Vanessa, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really, really fun. I love hearing everyone's stories and seeing all your beautiful drawings, and just it's really exciting and really great.
Oh, we're getting a cat view from Umi. Hang on.
Oh.
Aw.
Good night. Meow.
Looks like Captain Marvel.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm bringing Vanessa back online. All right, everybody. Let's
Keep it PG-13, please.
yeah. Let's all thank Vanessa. Vanessa, thank you so much. And
thank you so much.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Vanessa.
We'll look for your new book.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Good night.
Those of you who can share.
Yeah,
share,
thank you.
whatever. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.